let me briefly talk about AI. I'm like very, very excited about this. I mean, we never have enough time to really go through it, but between me, Claude, and our panel today, we'll start touching on more detail and why there's substance behind what we're doing. We're focusing on this as an end-to-end process, not on the fringes, not just for expense savings. This is end-to-end. And we want to focus on growth. That was the entire premise of our strategy. And the 2 times or 5 times reflects there was 2 piles. Like if you have a strategy for GenAI that can reduce cycle time or improve revenue by 2 times, it goes in one bucket. If it's 5 times, it goes in another. Let's get on with it. Everything was documented. Everybody was involved. And we need to make sure that there was a path forward that we could execute on. And so we basically broke it down for simplification into 5 categories. Start with underwriting. For us, Claude will call this underwriter in the loop, which means the underwriters are still making the decisions. But we need to enable them. Today, there's so much time still spent gathering data, gathering financial statements, but this is about why I say you give an underwriter the opportunity, identify the 125 items you'd like to have a perfect submission. What would it look like? And so they do that work. Then we need to make sure there's consistency. When you're extracting that data, does it come from a bunch of different sources? You know, if you ask underwriters, typically, they will start to get the same things, but they get it different ways. And so it makes the process very inefficient. So we want a consistency in data and extraction. And then we want to talk about the cultural shift of how do you can't just like overnight say, okay, you're now going to do 5 times the amount of underwriting today. Here you go. Can't wait for the outcome. Like you got to start to shift what happens with people, how do you train them, how do you prepare, and how do you engage with distribution. That's where we started. So then you go into the data where it comes in from brokers, agents. I can't even count the number of forms that come in. And you're not changing broker behavior. So you get it, it's structured, it's unstructured, it's PDF, it's text, it's whatever it is. And you got to be able to extract that real time to get insight, to be able to fulfill what we're looking for in those 125 pieces of information. There's AIG systems. We've seen the account. It's a renewal. We used to have it. There's data. And so how do you extract it within AIG to be able to supplement what comes in through distribution of brokers and agents? And last, if it's in neither of the first 2 categories, how do you go to reliable sources that are approved, that have great data, that will help you underwrite and fulfill those specific requests that an underwriter wants to make great decisions? And so we've had all of this done, and that's why Alex will be here today. We've done it with Palantir Foundry. It's unbelievable outcome in terms of what we get. You could give underwriters, and I'm going to exaggerate for effect here, I could give them unlimited time, 2, 3, 4 weeks. They still can't get the amount of data that I can get within 2 to 3 hours through Palantir Foundry. Okay, well, it's not going to just magically, rub a genie bottle and end up in the underwriter's pocket. So, like, what are we doing? We have to focus on how do we actually train large language models to know what to go to extract. Now, of the 125, like, we don't need to train the large language models to confuse it. Can you please get the client's name? We hopefully have that. I mean, so there's some data points that are already put in, but the very important insightful data that needs to come to the underwriter is trained to the large language model. And we use Anthropic, Claude 3.5. Now, I thought Claude Wade, who you'll see, for the first 6 months, I thought he was just making up the large language model name to name it after himself. But I guess it's really a model, and Dario will take us through that. But we started at Claude 2.0, and then we are now at Claude 3.5. And just the unbelievable advancements in these large language models to be able to extract data real time from the data ingestion, the conversion into the underwriter is unbelievable. We could also, not from an algorithm, but we could also prioritize risk characteristics, like an industry group, like a geography, like this size, and then start to train the large language models to start to prioritize submissions so our underwriters are actually reviewing where we believe the best risk-adjusted returns, but also the prioritization. You would see, hopefully, the bind rate go up as a result. And then the data augmentation and learning with source means we can augment data. There may be a request, but there's other information that can be helpful that will come to the underwriter. But also, talked about hallucinations 12, 24 months ago. That was very prevalent. Yes, it still exists. However, we can now look at the source of where the data came from. So the underwriters can say, oh, that is very good. It came from a rating agency or came from something that is incredibly factual, and I would have got that myself. So they can actually go and check it. So that is going to be a dramatic change for us. This is not, I go to WEF and say, can I meet with somebody that's not going to give me a pilot or something that's theoretical? Is there something that's actually really happening? This is happening for us. And it's something that is real and something that's going to be a big part of our company going forward. We will optimize the portfolio. That turnaround was optimizing the portfolio. We already do it. But can you get it from a manual process to what we just did with our special purpose vehicle, which Charlie will go into more detail? Can you actually do that across the portfolio more real time? The answer will be yes. We want to kind of get the data ingestion, large language models, and underwriting a little further along, but the answer is absolutely yes, and you'll be able to allocate capital better for better risk-adjusted returns. And we have a lot of examples as to where that'll take place. So remember I said I would come back to this slide. It was about the E&S market growing. It was about AIG's percentage of the E&S growing for us, and then what does it look like in the future? So if you said, okay, I believe in the 10%, that means in 2025, the industry for E&S will have tripled since 2018. The submissions, 30,000, 300,000, 10 times. We have a choice. You can see what we did. We restructured. We had a reposition. I would say we were the catalyst that drove the E&S market to change because we had a multiple distribution channel, large limits, changed the whole thing, had to flip the portfolio, did that in 2018, everything started to change. And I think others in the industry were followers, but we set the mark and were able to deliver year after year after year. Okay, we did that. Then it's the strategic turnaround. Are we known? Are we back as a company that's incredibly well respected for underwriting, for our insights on risk? The answer is yes. We start growing. New business starts flowing. Can't get to it all. So if you look at the bottom dotted line, can we keep doing 10% and stay with the industry on a CAGR basis? Absolutely we can. That would be very good by normal business standards. But I want to challenge us to think differently. I want to think about 20% plus. How do you grow 20% with what I just showed you in terms of data ingestion better, large language models, getting it to the point of sale, the underwriter, to be able to quote more and bind more over time? Well, let's just give you a practical example. What did it look like in 18? 2018, we had 30,000 new business submissions. Bind to submit was 4%. I don't know if that's good or bad. Seems low to me. Average premium size was 260,000, and we did 300 million of new business. 2024, we're spiking the ball. It's like 300,000 submissions. That's great. The bind to submit's at 2. Do I think we just got to be better underwriters? Well, yes, but I also think we didn't get to the volume. Went down market, which was good. We thought it was more profitable. Average premium size, 140,000. We did $1 billion of new business in 2024. That's very impressive. But how about, again, I'm an optimist. I'm the CEO. I'm supposed to put up things that if you do this, this is what happens. I think this is really conservative. The $500,000 new business submissions, again, just think of it over the next 5 years. That's just staying in line with where the market's growing, the 10%. And my hypothesis is, can we do 6% on a bind to submit if we adopt a new way of doing business? Well, I certainly hope so. I'm not going 15, I'm going to 6. And then not going to increase the premium size, just keep it the same. What happens? Well, you get 4 times the amount of new business. You're able to underwrite 4 times as much. And I think when we do that, it's not going to be just adding volume. It's going to be better risks. I don't even know what happens with the market. I can give you a view, which is they're going to want to come more. I think the 500,000 will be light. We're going to be able to bind more. So this is the direction we're going. I give Lexington as an example because it is the one that is right there in front of us, but there's a lot of other businesses with an AIG that we're going to be rolling this out and adopting it. It's for real, and this is not something that is for companies like us. Like, I don't believe this is a choice. We're doing this. I mean, like, we have to do this and drive change.